जय हिंद। ऑडियो ऑन करिए। जय हिंद साहब।
Good evening.
I said Jai Hind.
Jai Hind to you also.
And Major General Abhay Gupta, the hero of the 26/11 Mumbai attacks, Mumbai rescue, if I may say so, a historical inflection point from the terrorism and security aspects for India. Major General Abhay Gupta, IG operations head, somebody who's seen at the ground zero what happened, what transpired, and what should not have transpired. NSG, part 1, National Security Guards, security, terrorism, future. Major General Abhay Gupta, over to you, Vision 75 series.
Good evening, everybody. I am now going to start the topic by first addressing the basic organization of NSG. It is a force operating under Ministry of Home Affairs and has three main components. One is provided by the Army for operational purposes, taking action against terrorism or counter hijack. Second is provided by the central police organizations like BSF, CRPF, which is in support to the army operation. And third is the administrative function alongside with the training, which is conducted at Manesar. Overwatching all this is the Director General of NSG, who has been always an IPS officer appointed by the Ministry of Home Affairs. Under him come two IGs, one IG Operations, who's always an army man, and second IG Administration, who's always an IPS officer. There are two more IPS officers at the DIG level, and that puts paid to the IPS cadre within NSG. Now, the issue here is that do we set up an organization with priority on its operational efficiency or its administrative capability? Because unfortunately, the IPS officers who come in at the apex level have a lot of experience within their own field, but combat level experience, which an army officer gains while in service right from his second lieutenant days up to command of a platoon, company, battalion, and higher formations, he does not have that first-hand experience. So therefore, the operational imperatives and the parameters that are required, his understanding is a reflected understanding, which is some either through deeper reading or through discussion with other people who are experts in the field. Personally, I think it is unfair both to the organization and to the DG himself, because he is put in a place where operational discussions, professional oriented discussions, he is the head of the organization, he has to give the final ruling. But he himself may not be very sure of the grounds on which he gives his ruling. So this is one aspect that we must really ponder. One can understand that Ministry of Home Affairs is happier with an IPS officer as the head, but then we have Assam Rifles, which is a much larger force commanded by an army officer throughout. So it may be a point that is worth deliberating upon. I can give you certain examples. For example, I joined in 2006, April 2006. I went through the documents and I found Kargil committee had recommended opening of NSG regional centers. I therefore discussed with my DG, and I was told Government of India will never sanction a single extra man. Notwithstanding, I wrote papers. During the period 2006 to 2008, nearly 4 to 5 set of papers were sent to Ministry of Home Affairs. They were all bounced back. We were asked to work it again. We reworked it. Come 26/11, within 24 to 36 hours, the Prime Minister of India announced that regional centers of NSG will be opened. Now, where did he get this input from? from the Ministry of Home Affairs, which already had these plethora of proposals sent by NSG. So what I'm trying to point out here is that within my organization, there was no support for it. But when a crisis situation developed, suddenly wisdom was there for everyone to perceive. Therefore, if we have some better professional direction at the apex level, such eventualities may not arise again. Now, moving on to the next aspect, which again affects the same, that is our equipment procurement methodology. The financial powers in NSG rest with all IPS officers who are in the administrative branch. Their priority is following the laid down procedures, following the guidelines given by the audit authorities, and then they consider the operational commitment. Whereas from the operational point of view, we first look at the operational requirement and then go into these issues. A simple case in point is when we went in to the Taj and Oberoi hotels, all electric connections were switched off. Within 6 to 8 hours, our night vision devices, which had only one spare battery, became defunct. We did not have the manpower luxury to send people to charge it from neighboring localities. So we operated thereafter blind without any night vision capability. From the auditor's point of view, it was very reasonable. You have charging sets, you charge one battery while you use the other. But in operational conditions, it did not work out. And so we were handicapped. There are a number of such examples. I leave it at that. If you have better professional orientation at the apex level, important essential equipment, which is very necessary, will come through faster. There is a proper case study which can be done for anti-hijack operations, for which mobile ladders were required. Similarly, the bulletproof jacket, the shoes, I mean, there is a whole list. But then all the three defense forces always say procurement of equipment is very slow, and perhaps under that excuse, this thing is also brushed under the carpet. The third issue here is the SRG, which is the force which provides VIP protection. During Mumbai operations, this force was totally committed for VIP protection and was not available to support operations in Mumbai. The areas that we had secured in the Taj, the top floor, the 5th floor, we asked CRPF to come in and take over those duties so that our commandos can then go into active operations. They initially deployed, but to my horror, I found that within an hour, they started trooping out. There was an IG level officer sitting with me from the Maharashtra police. I asked him, what is happening? Please stop them. He went and asked them and they said, sorry, our forces are not equipped to fight terrorists. And they walked out. We then had to divert our commandos again to guard those secure areas because the terrorists could sneak into those areas and we would have to restart the whole operation again. This point, fortunately, has been conceded. And now SRG is being taken off VIP duties, which is a very good development. The other issue here is the intelligence setup. Now in NSG, a CPO officer is the intelligence
one more
officer.
Minute. General sir, 1 more minute.
Okay, so int also is a major thing here. Now at the national level, 2611 proved that there was too much of coordination to be done within the state and the center, within the Home Ministry, the intelligence, the other agencies, the media. We need a setup which can coordinate all this because NSG per se is a strategic force at the national level, and we must have procedures and SOPs in place so that it can, when required, these come into action. I think I'll, since you've given me a time limit, I'll rest here.